Sometimes with Facebook, with this integrated, it's a pain. All right, there we go. Greetings, readers and travelers, and welcome to another episode of Chattin' Stats. My name is Ritchey Stevens, and I am your host for this amazing Lit RPG podcast, where we talk all things Lit RPG, Gameplay, Dungeon Core, and pretty much anything else in the genre. Today, I am joined for the very first time by an author over at Shadow Alley Press who has written some amazing books, Mr. Aaron Michael Ritchey. Aaron, how are you today?
Dungeon Core. I'm learning to play the guitar. I know that's surprising as a middle-aged white man. But I am learning to play the guitar, and I'm writing a Dungeon Accountant song. So it's
Oh,
not
that's
ready.
awesome.
It's not ready yet, but when it is, I'm going to release it to the world. And yeah, so
That is fantastic. I love that. So, what do you want to talk first? You want to give a little background on the Dungeon Accountant team,
Dungeon Accountant.
do you want to
Yes.
talk a little Shadowcroft Academy to give a little introduction to the world?
Yeah, well, I'm Aaron Michael Ritchie. I've been writing books for a long time. Hooked up with James, a hunter at hooked up. It's a family show, Ritchie. He, the way the way we tell it, the way we tell it is that James saw me and I was hawking my books at a table at a local Denver con, and I was like, please, would you buy my book so I can afford bread for my family?" and and he's like, "Yes, old man, let me help you." And so we started talking, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm doing a publishing company. Why don't you come and write books for me?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And we used to joke that it's like a make a wish because I was like so elderly that this is like my last gasp. And he's like, "I will publish your books, Aaron Michael Ritchie, because I would like to see you." But by then I had how many books published? I've had like 15 books published. So I've been in the game for a long time. But then we wrote some books together and had a great time. And so then I met Nathan at Shadow Valley Press, and Nathan Amy um, is a guy who reads all of the lit RPG books, and he's also an idea guy. And so he came up with this like kind of we originally were going to do kind of a dungeon flipper, like you go into a dungeon and like you improve it and then you sell it. But I'd been working on the Shadowcroft Academy for Dungeons with James, and I was like, man, I trying to like, and I write, I've Dungeon Count's the 55th book I've published.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot.
That is a lot.
Um, and I've been, I have some books with Bane, and I have some books, with, some with, I have some like indie stuff that I published. So,
Yeah.
um, but, so we came up with Dungeon Accountants because we could like plug it into the Shadowcroft universe because my head was already full of Shadowcroft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I was like, well, let's take your idea, let's kind of like make it weirder and add a goat, and then we'll just put it in the Shadowcroft universe. So, and it fits in really nicely, and it's fun. It's just such a great. So James kind of came up with the idea of the Shadowcroft universe, and in the Shadowcroft universe, we flip it. Well, this is not a revolutionary idea, but in our universe, dungeons are good, and they are guarding the celestial nodes that are connected to the tree of souls that give all of the universe life.
Okay.
So all of the worlds are connected to the tree of souls at these celestial nodes. And so there's evil dungeoneers who go in and they want to destroy the celestial node and then use the energy to level up, to cultivate the energy,
Mm-hmm.
and then to level themselves up. So the dungeons are there to protect the tree of souls so worlds don't die. Because if all of the nodes that are connected to the tree of souls die, then the entire planet dies.
Right.
So, and having your planet die sucks. Just
I mean, I would like to avoid a calamity event if we could.
let's keep the stage for
So,
hum.
okay, then would if the the celestial node was taken, would that just bring in a system apocalypse, or would it completely destroy the world?
Actually, in book 2 of Dungeon Accountant, we have a system apocalypse. Well, it's not a system apocalypse. It's not like no. Um, it's a withering, so it's called the withering apocalypse.
Okay.
And so, and depending on kind of the energy levels of the world, it can be like worse than that. So a lot of times, um, James and I talked, and it was kind of a withering, right? So the
Yeah.
world just kind of withers, like all life, like if there's life-giving things, the plants start to wither, and you know, without plant life, like the whole ecosystem breaks down, and
Mm-hmm.
over a period of time, there's no ecosystem, and so you have Mars, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just rock and dirt. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All
But
right.
so in Shadowcraft Academy for Dungeons, the first 3 books are out.
They are
There's a lot of
fantastic. I haven't read book 3, but I'm re-listening to book 2, and I'll go into my what I've been reading and everything towards the end of the show. But today I did I restarted listening because I needed some audiobook. I had just finished a book, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back to listen to book 2 because I never picked up book 3. I could have sworn I did, but I didn't. So I'm re-listening to book 2, and I'm a few chapters in. I love it. It's a fun time. And of course, we got Jess in the chat saying she needs to check out book 1. Yes, you absolutely do. It was the first book I've read from Aaron, and it was absolutely bonkers. I loved it, and it brought in that combination I love of an academy setting, but also dungeon core.
yeah.
And I mean, right at the start, I was living in Colorado actually when I got the first book.
Where were
So
you living?
I was up in Pierce, so about 30 minutes east of Fort Collins, about 30 minutes north of Greeley.
Oh, so you're in the it
Hmm.
was
I was
very
about
rural.
45 minutes south of Cheyenne.
You smelled cow.
Oh
That's
yeah.
cow country.
Oh no.
I love it. That's my favorite. I've written this is not a lit RPG, but it's a post-apocalyptic cattle drive book because the world needs more like post-apocalyptic cattle drive books. Um it's my favorite. Those are the books of my heart, like the uh it's called the Juniper Wars, but it's all about the Great Plains because I love the Great Plains, right? I live just outside of Denver, kind of on the southwest side.
I went down to Denver quite a bit because I was doing Lyft and Uber, so I would go down to the airport and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
as a side gig because Colorado is expensive. Um, and I was listening to book 1 because I had won a giveaway from Shadow Alley Press, and they had sent it to me and everything. So I got the code, and I was listening to the first book while doing a Lyft ride down to the airport. Had just picked someone up. I was about an hour into the book, so not a lot's happened. Yeah, he got to the dungeon academy and everything, and then a person got in my car, and he was a businessman and everything. He looked at me and he goes, "What are you listening to?" I was like, "Oh, it's called Shadowcraft Academy. It's from James A. Hunter and Aaron Michael Ritchey. It's a lit RPG, but it's got such a unique twist to it because it's got a dungeon core and an academy setting." And he goes, "Can you turn it up? I'm actually kind of interested in this." I
Oh,
was like,
that's
"Yeah, you know what?
hilarious.
Here." I restarted the book, and he he loved it and goes, "Okay, I got to pick up this book. Can I take a picture of your phone so that way I can see what the cover is and I don't forget it?" I was like, "Absolutely, go ahead." So I handed it back, and he bought the book while he was in my car.
Oh my god, that is so great. Because book 1 starts off in Arvada. It's in Arvada
Mm-hmm.
because he runs his own landscaping business. Um, oh my god, that's hilarious. Thank you. That's
Hey,
awesome.
it's one of the things I loved about doing out there was the and Lyft driving because I could listen to audiobooks, and there were some where I was like, "Oh yeah, I can't listen to this while I'm doing Lyft and
Oh,
Uber."
right.
I no, that was there were some I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
yeah."
the spicy bits, and they're like suddenly like the porno music start bam chicka bam. It's like
I
I
was
mean,
listening to what was I listening to? Tokens and Towers in the car doing Harmon Cooper's Tokens and
yeah, yeah,
Towers.
yeah. Is there sexy bits in that?
one of the chapters in the first book, he has to seduce a dungeon core. It's hilarious, but it's like, oh, I can't listen to this.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yep.
the
Yep.
chat's blowing up. Yes, it is just Aaron and I tonight. Nathan is away on business and thought he was going to be able to make it, but sadly he couldn't. And Joel has to get ready for work. Also, he just hates me. Doesn't want to be here. It's fine. I'll see him this weekend. I'll smack him.
I love you, Ritchey. We
Thank you,
bonded
Aaron.
at Dragon Con.
We did. Joel was there too, but that's the least important part.
I don't remember Joel. I only remember
He was
you, Ritchey.
quiet. That's the thing.
No, I'm
Joel,
kidding. I
no,
remember Joel. And
Michael Chatfield thought Joel was made up for the longest time because every time I would see see Michael, he was like, "Okay, where's Joel? I'm getting a little concerned here." I go, "I promise he's real. I promise he's real." And it finally got to the Lit RPG Under the Sea event. Joel finally showed up, and I said, "Michael, this is Joel." And he goes, "Okay, so I know you're not insane. We're good now."
we love that Michael Chatfield.
Oh,
We
we
love that Michael
do.
Chatfield.
He is an absolute gift, and his most recent release is actually on my what I've been reading list. So
Oh, cool. Cool,
shout
cool,
out to Michael
cool.
Chatfield.
Shout out to Michael Chatfield.
So let's talk a little bit about the Dungeon Accountant. You know, Audit Team 6, I believe was it was the team, right?
Audit Team 6. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So give us a little background about the characters in Audit Team 6.
So, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say when we start off, they're getting ready to go on a retreat. So fill us in.
The
What is
corporate
going on?
retreat. One of the we posted on Railroad. One of the comments was like, "Why would I want to read this? The boss is a jerk. This is like my life." And we're like, "Yeah, but in your life you don't get to go work with these dungeon slimes." So yes, there's corporate politics. So I worked in the IT industry for like for an X amount of time that would make me younger than what I am. Um, and and then he's been in the IT world for like he's like and so we both kind of have this kind of corporate thing. Um and so we wanted to kind of capture that, the bad boss and everything.
Yeah,
But so if so in Shadowcroft Academy, a guy from Earth gets isekai'd and becomes a mushroom dungeon, and then he's trained in how to, protect building dungeons to save the universe, right?
right.
Dungeon accountants is what happens when so the Council of Dungeons, the Department of Universal Dungeon Efficiency, the acronym is DUDE. So the Department of Universal Dungeon Efficiency, which is an offshoot of the Council of Dungeons, sends out auditors to help dungeons. Right? It's a service. So you go and you audit a dungeon and you say, okay, your traps are, I saw this a mile away. This is how you can use your traps better.
Yeah,
This room you need. This is a great room for like a barracks of orcs, right? Um, and then they also like measure your apothos usage. So
right,
if the usage of energy is off, then they'll tell you, right? Because the idea is if the future of a world is in the balance, you want to have the absolute best dungeon possible.
right.
So Calcanus Eludere, I was when I named it, I was thinking like calculations, um, a little tip of the hat to Calcium from Dakota Kraut's books. I'm a fan. Um, and so he's a team. And the other thing I wanted to do in Dungeon Accountants is kind of explore the world of the Dungeoneers, because in
Hmm.
Shadowcroft, it's all Dungeon Core all the time.
Yeah,
So I wanted to kind of like introduce the world of the Dungeoneers, the dungeon guilds, that kind of a thing. And so it's the Dungeoneers. So Cal and his intrepid group of ragtag misfits were former Dungeoneers who realized what they were doing was destroying the universe. And they're like, oh my God, we have to stop this. And so through a series of events, they get pulled into Dude, and then they're but none of their boss and none of their coworkers from the other audit teams really trust them because they are former Dungeoneers.
Right.
And so there's that kind of dynamic there. So, but Cal loves the bureaucracy. He's a spreadsheet wizard. So he has he can show his graphs. And as he gets more powers, I don't want to spoil anything, but he can do amazing things with the data.
Okay. Like I said, I've only gotten a little bit into the book so far because I had satellite appointments and everything today, but I am going to show off this cover art because I love it. It is such a fun thing. I got to remember how to do this on here. I believe it's just share screen. Yeah, there we go.
And I can also send you
Yeah, there we go.
Here, let me just send you the I should have done this before, but the full wraparound
Oh, for the
for the first one.
I was gonna say I can pull up the. There we go. Got the back. It looks really good. It's actually got probably one of my favorite covers. It's not super exuberant or anything. It's just it's fun. It's a fun cover.
Let me show it because the let me just now the pressure's on.
It happens. It's fun.
Here, I just sent you the so if you want to post the full without the title treatment, so the full artwork, it's super cool.
Yeah. Oh, that is. Let me switch screens really quick. Yeah, show this tab instead. There we go. That's clean. That's
cool.
very, very
cool.
Oh, I want to make that my background now on my laptop. I love that.
Feel free. No, it's super good. And the Shadowcroft, dude, the Shadowcroft covers are just bonkers.
I love the Shadowcroft covers.
So
I think book 2 might be my favorite.
Of
all the covers.
Oh yeah, those are great. We got very lucky, and so the first 3 Dungeon Account books are done.
Right.
So the second one I think just went on pre-order today. And then the third one is in edits.
Okay. Do we have an ETA on audiobook, or is there plans for an audiobook?
There's plans for an audiobook. We've been listening to the auditions.
Okay.
And yeah, Nathan and I agreed on a guy. He's funny because these are one of the we got a review today, and they said it was like more jokes than Shadowcroft, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's just as zany, right? It's just as fun and funny, and but the cast of characters, you asked about the cast of characters before. And that was really so when Nathan and I came up with this, Nathan kind of did the broad strokes for the characters, and I fell in love with them. So Calcanus is our elven wizard who's who doesn't really want to be a wizard. He just really wants to be an accountant. So he finds fighting distasteful and stressful. So he is not a big fighter. Their big fighter is Helga Nebash, who's a half
rogue, right?
She's the halfling interior decorator who's also
the barbarian. Yes.
She has a 2-handed crowbar.
Which it's funny because on my run of Baldur's Gate 3 right now, I have a halfling barbarian because I just wanted to have one.
Helga Nebash, and she rides a battle goat named Hurricane Hoofclop, though we didn't give Hurricane a last name in the first book. So Hurricane is her battle goat, and she's the interior decorator. She loves demo day. She'll go in and she'll say, no, your feng shui is all wrong. It's really the theme of a dungeon, right? I mean, you have to, your dungeon not only has to be efficient, it has to, it's style and function, right?
You gotta have a little bit of both. I mean, because let's look at some video games logic, right? I mean, growing up, I played a lot of the Devil May Cry series, and
Okay.
performing like really good combos. You got style points. That was their ranking system. So it was fun. So having that style in combat or just in general somehow integrated into a system, it always just brings back that like homage of booting that up for the first time. So
Ah,
it brought it or the nostalgia. Sorry, not an homage, a nostalgia factor.
a nostalgia for Devil May Cry. Well, I think what stood in my way of becoming a novelist for many years was
Mhm.
Diablo 2 and Diablo 3.
Great games,
So I
fantastic games.
haven't played. Have you played Diablo 4 yet?
I have. I played the beta and I was a day one player.
Okay. So, and like I was like Baldur's Gate 3 or Diablo 4.
I did so. Baldur's Gate 3. I bought on Steam back in October of 2020 when it went into early access because I wanted the game.
Okay.
I wanted that game. And I knew what I was getting into because I love Larian Studios. And of course, we've had Rachel, we've had Brian, and we've had Jack on the podcast. So I'm always down to talk some Baldur's Gate 3. Bought it day one. So I got Diablo 4 to hold me over until the full release of Baldur's Gate 3 came out.
But if I can only play one, which one should I play?
Baldur's Gate.
Oh, really?
I am a hardcore Diablo fan. I love Diablo. I have a lot of the pop figures for Diablo, and I like Diablo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Holds a very special place in my heart. Diablo 3, same way. Diablo 4 was a major letdown. They are
Really?
reworking a lot of the stuff to make it better, but as of right now, they still got some work to do.
Okay.
They
So,
tried to make it. They tried to give it more of that MMO like
oh,
feel
yeah.
than it feeling like a Diablo game, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
The
Yeah,
classes
yeah.
are very smooth. They play like they play great. It's just it lacked that content that should have been there day one. It feels like where we're at now is what day one should have been.
Oh, okay.
And we're 4 seasons in.
Okay. Okay.
So I would say if you're looking for more of that gameplay and something that's gonna just be the better bang for your buck, I would say Baldur's Gate. Now Diablo 4, if you're playing on PlayStation or Xbox, I know it's on sale for like $20 right now at GameStop. So you can get it for a good price. At that price, I'd pay for it.
Okay.
$59.99.
Yeah, like on Steam it's like $80. Is it still
For
80 now?
Diablo?
Diablo,
Probably.
yeah. And I was like, and I just don't have a lot of time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
writing books is like very time consuming.
Baldur's Gate would give you that like perfect like inspiration.
But like I'm more of like I'm more of like a like story is important. No, that's not true. I was about to say I'm kind of more of a kill, but I
Yeah.
like the story and I like the characters and
I mean, you can go full murder hobo in Baldur's Gate 3. So,
yeah, I might have to. I was at a the GDC
mhm.
Game Developers Conference in San Francisco.
Yeah,
And so I have like a whole list of video games and I'm like, "Oh my god, I have so
I
much."
have way too. My backlog is ridiculously massive. I don't know what's worse, my video game backlog or my audiobook and physical book backlog. They're both very bad. So it's like I have to move stuff around and like prioritize, and it makes me very sad because like obviously there's going to be something that I've been looking forward to that's going to drop, and it's like okay, do I drop what I'm listening to right now for this new book, or do I continue? And I always have to make that hard decision. So
Yeah. No, it's crazy. So what we need to do, Richie, is we need to have a way of stopping time.
I wish because I could catch up on so many things.
You just stop time and it wouldn't have any effect on your sleep. So you could stop time or just give up sleep. Like I'm not a
You know
good
what?
sleeper.
Let's do that episode of American Dad where they get the no sleep pills and they only have to sleep for like I think 7 minutes, and then they're fine for the rest of the time. That's what we need.
That would be great.
or or let's just get the VR like immersion stuff going with the time dilation so we can play while we sleep. What kind of like DCO? Jonathan Smith's
Oh,
DCO? Yeah. That's
yeah.
what we need right now.
Yeah. So you like different like, dude, that's a cool idea. Like your subconscious like plays video games, but you have the memory and the experience, so you're part of you. So would that be like almost like a dream war? Like your dream life is like
Hmm.
consuming. I don't know.
I don't know. That's oh gosh.
That's an interesting idea. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not good at it. If I was a good sleeper, maybe if I
I
was like a talent for sleeping. Are you a good sleeper, Richie?
I have like 7 different forms of insomnia. I think I am an absolute mess at this point. So thank God for Kindle and Audible at this point. And like the thing is with my Audible stuff, I listen while I'm at work and I listen while I game. The only time I don't listen is when I'm in here in my booth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I always have my headphones in. And like if my girlfriend and I are going somewhere and, no matter whose car is being driven, her phone is hooked up because we're listening to music. I have one of my headphones in for my AirPods. It doesn't matter if I'm driving or if she's driving. I'm listening to an audiobook.
Oh wow, so you do a
When I
lot.
was
Yeah, yeah,
walking
yeah.
around Con last year, I was listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Dungeon. Don't we love the dungeon crawler Carl, don't we, folks? Oh my god.
Matt yelled at me, and so did Jeff. He's like, or they both said, "You're at Dragon Con. You're supposed to be enjoying the convention, not listening to Book 6." I said, "Guys, then why did you release Book 6 on the day of Dragon Con? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I helped get you guys to rank 1 on Audible, so
yeah.
don't yell at me."
And I haven't done book 6 yet, so I'm behind. And
It's good.
I read the first 5 and I was like, it's the song I say it's the song of my soul, right? I mean, what's sad is like people are like, "Oh, you write lit RPG." And I'm like, "Yeah, I write some lit RPG, but the book you really should listen Matt Dinneman, Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's the song of my soul. It makes everything make sense."
I love Matt. I have a love-hate relationship with that man. He loves to have people send me feet pics, and I hate it.
Dude,
I absolutely hate it.
you do
But
what?
I just accept it.
You
I don't
don't
like
like the
feet.
feet?
I don't like feet. I have an anti-foot fetish.
Is
I don't want it.
is it wrong that I now want you to send you pictures of my feet? Is that
Please don't.
am I a bad person for
Please,
wanting to do
please
that like
don't.
right now?
Matt will tell you to do it. Geneva will tell you to do it. Please don't.
Matt Dinneman, he's the nice young man. He's the bassist for Digging for Change, right?
I think so. I
Yeah.
don't know. I've never listened to Matt's
No,
music.
I saw him in concert. I saw
Oh
Digging for
wow.
Change because I had to because I love music and I love supporting.
Oh yeah, Book
It's
7 does come out in October.
yeah. So I have to and I read the
Well,
first 5.
the audiobook will be like I think he said a few months later, but he's shooting for an October release date at the moment. So
But I haven't
that's
listened to any of the audiobooks. So I'm
oh, you
book
need to.
6. Yeah.
Jeff Hayes kills it. But Jeff Hayes is just amazing at everything he does. So shout out
Yeah.
to Jeff. Shout out to Nathan. Well, yeah, shout out to Nathan. We wish Nathan could join us tonight, but shout out to Matt Denneman.
Lee
So
bassist for Digging for Change. He's a very talented bassist. Um
so
no, so
but
but okay, are we talking about character? What are we talking about, Richie? This
so
is
I
spiraling
do want
into
to give
chaos.
a shout out to Nathan since he wasn't here to make it or able to make it tonight. Nathan Amy, who is the author of the Fate Nexus series. Fantastic Apocalypse series. First book is very heavily Red Dawn inspired. I can feel it. I mean, the first book is called Black Dawn,
Black Dawn, right.
but it reminded me of Red Dawn if Red Dawn was a apocalypse or a lit RPG apocalypse series instead of Russia and the Koreans in the 2012 2013 remake. We don't talk about that film. It wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But shout out
No,
to Nathan.
now shout out to Nathan. We love
We
Nathan Amy.
we do. And
He's a brilliant guy. Like like the ideas, boom,
was
boom,
he
boom.
at Dragon Con last year?
Yeah.
I
think
don't know if
so.
I actually crossed paths with him or not.
Oh no. Yeah.
I was doing so much running around. I know I met a lot of wonderful people over at the Shadow Alley Press booth when I came over to just hang out with Emily, and she introduced me to everyone. Of course, I got to meet James and Jeanette in person for the first time instead of just chatting with them through Messenger. I got to meet you in person. Marshall J. Moore, super nice guy.
Super nice guy.
I followed him on TikTok before I knew he was an author for Shadow Alley Press.
Oh, right.
I saw the book, or I saw the Pale City in the back on one of his TikToks, and I was like, that looks like a Shadow Alley Press book. Like that cover, it just looks like a Shadow Alley Press book. And then not even 2 minutes later, book 2, I think, was going up for pre-order, and the announcement on Facebook. And I was like, okay, I follow a Shadow Alley Press author on TikTok. Didn't even know it.
No, and I heard Marshall J. Moore's name at Bain because he won like a short story. I think he won like one of their short story contests. So and then I'm like, hey, you're Marshall J. Moore. So no, so yeah,
Geneva's torturing me now. So
Geneva, we love Geneva.
We love Geneva, but she loves to torture me. I just have
But
to accept it.
I'm not going to send you feet pics. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so the character. Are we going back?
Characters. Let's go back to characters
because the characters are so good. So we have Cal.
Mm-hmm.
We have Helga Nebash, our
And we have
interior
Gwen.
decorator. Guinevere Copperblade, she's our we call her rogue engineer. So
That's where I got
kind
the rogue. That's where I was thinking rogue.
Yeah. So she's the kind of the trap expert. She's kind of the morally ambiguous one. She's like, yeah, I guess destroying worlds is bad, but there's a lot of worlds in the multiverse, right? So like, missing one or two. So she's kind of like, and she gets really tired of the corporate bureaucracy. Whereas Cal loves like the 4:00 Friday meeting that could be an email. Gwen doesn't. So she's really fun to write because she's kind of our snarky, and she's not a thief. She's a rogue engineer. Yes, very chaotic neutral. Very like yeah. But we have a little character arc for good old Gwen. And then last but not least is probably my favorite character, and that's Sir Kronk the Charming, and he is our troll paladin who's very handsome in the troll culture. So among trolls, high charisma. Among normal humans, big dumb green guy. But he is a holy paladin of Keblar the baker. May your cookies always rise. Is that a thing? Do cookies rise?
Cookies, I think, technically do rise. Well, they expand. I don't know.
Your
I didn't take a
souffle?
baking class.
May your souffle never fall. I think souffles aren't supposed to fall. Yeah, so Kronk is great. Kronk with an E because the troll culture all have silent E's at the end of their names. Because there's another Kronk. What was the other Kronk in? There was another Kronk in like popular media, and so we
Emperor's
went.
New Groove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were like, we have to differentiate it. So we added the E because we named him like, do I have a list of all the possible Kronk names that I can access quickly?
Oh, I need to. I gotta hear all these because that sounds like a list.
Because I don't know if I can find it, but so we had a whole. So he was Crunch for a minute. I think he was it Crandall? Oh, I can't. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to
Crandall.
find it. Chonk. We did Chonk. But then James had a character named Chonk. And then there's also Princess Donut the Queen Anne Chonk.
Yeah.
And so so we
that would have been a fun little Easter egg though.
Chonk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went with Kronk with an E.
I like Kronk though. Kronk fits, and also he is my favorite character in Emperor's New Groove. But how can you hate Kronk?
Right.
So.
And he springs traps, so he has a healing. So if he gets hurt, so he's kind of like the big but wise. So when I played D&D, I had a DM who had a what was her name? She was like a thief acrobat. It was like the new like acrobat character, and so she eventually became like a mage slayer because she had these like super good agility and she had combat dodge.
Uh-huh.
And so she had these claws, like these gloves that became claws. And so she would leap in front of a magic user and she would scratch him and destroy his spell casting. So there was like she was just, and she would just kill mages.
I
And she's
like that.
actually in love with my character, who is a neutral, evilish mage. It was a torrid relationship. Where were we going with all that?
We were just talking about the characters. I just wanted to get the
Where are we
characters.
going with all that? How did we get Kara? That was her name. Oh my god. um, how did we get there?
I don't know. We were talking characters. We were talking Kronk, and then you
Went off on a
Hey,
Dungeons and
I'm not
Dragons.
complaining. I'm not complaining. I get to learn a little bit more lore. So that's the beautiful thing about this show. We go off the rails constantly. And that's just who we are. And I got that super ADHD brain, so I can't, sit still. My brain is like a Ferrari with no brakes. It's just going burr constantly. But I'm loving what I've read so far. And as I've told you before we started the show, and I think I've said it a few times during the show, I love the Shadowcroft books. I am going to be picking up book 3 tonight. Is there any crossover for Shadowcroft with this? I mean, it takes place in the same universe, but is there like any events that are significant that happen in one that will affect the other, or anything like that?
I don't want to tell stories out of school.
Okay.
However, when we went to James and I'm like, hey James, we're gonna do a spin-off series. And James is like, okay, because he did the VGO, right? And in
Yeah.
the VGO, you have the main 8 books, and then you have all of the spin-off series,
Which are
right?
fantastic.
Which Emily Godhand's
Mhm.
very excellent cleric books, DJ's books,
JD with she did the
JD
Firebrands, right?
Astra, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he was like, okay, we can put it in the same universe, but once you start crossing over, it becomes really complex. And so, because you want to keep your your world Bible, and you want to keep
Yeah.
your canon kind of straight. So there is crossover. We have a few characters that cross over. Actually, Dave Weavelord. It's not the Weavelord. It's just Weavelord.
Okay.
He's in book 3 of Shadowcroft Academy for Dungeons,
Okay.
year 3. And then in the second book, in the third book of Dungeon Accountant, we have the Arcandor Initiative, and the Arcandor Initiative are the dungeons who hunt down rogue dungeons.
Okay.
So if there's a dungeon that says, I don't care about saving worlds, I want immortality, or I want a bunch of power, so I'm just gonna, go rogue. The Arcandor Initiative hunts them down. And so for a while, we were thinking, we went to JD Astra and we're like, hey, dude, the idea of a bounty hunter dungeon core is like super cool. That's a super cool idea.
I like that. I really like that.
Yeah. So Jisoo, which is named after a K-pop star, I think in
Okay.
Blackpink.
That sounds like Blackpink.
Blackpink in your area.
I'm
I'm a
not a
fan.
huge K-pop fan, but I will say Blackpink have some absolute bangers.
I have to know. Yeah, Jisoo. Yeah, so named after Jisoo, Blackpink. She's a nine-tailed fox, and
Okay.
so she's a bat. She's like the total K-pop girl.
Yeah.
Except she is just vicious, and so she just murders and hunts
So
down bad
so
children.
is she a
She appears
kitsune?
in book 3, so of Dungeon Accountant.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm excited. I know when I go when we get done here and I go to lay down, I'm gonna be reading this book. So
oh
it's
yeah,
either
book 3 of Shadowcroft Academy is just bonkers. It is a bonkers book. It's it's out of all the Shadowcroft books, it's the Shadowcroftiest. So
I like that.
oh yeah.
Let's because you
And the
said book.
cover for that one has the Libro, the Nacho Libre, the Luchador wrestler. Oh yeah, it's dude. Oh yeah.
I'm just now seeing the cover for book 2, and I have so many questions. I have so many questions.
Of which books we're talking about? All of the books. Which book?
Dungeon Accountant, because I went to because you said earlier that
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
pre-order went
yeah.
live. The pre-order went live, so I was like, "Oh, when does it come out?" October 15th, which October is going to be a busy month for me. Oh God.
Oh yeah, that's a great dude. So the 3 books are Audit Team 6,
Mm-hmm.
Dungeon Count Book 1. Book 2 is the Omega Audit, because when a world dies, they send an auditing team to do a final audit to see what happened, right? So
Right.
like the planet's dying and they're like, okay, we're going to see, and every world has a heart dungeon. So if they lose the heart dungeon, the world's gone. So they go to the heart dungeon to the Omega audit as the world is dying,
Mm-hmm.
and then hijinks ensue. So, and
Okay.
that's Mimi. That's Miriam Drybone on the cover. She's a mummy.
I
Um,
love these names.
yeah, Mimi is so sweet. She's
I
great.
love these names so
And
much.
they're Skelikitties. The
I
Skelikitties, that
saw the
was Nathan's
skeleton.
idea. The Skelikitties are Nathan's idea. And the original idea for the cover, we were going to have like a
Is one
laser
of them at
pointer.
least named Jinx?
Oh, that would have been good. No, I don't think we do. We name any of the
Well, I
Skelikitties?
just gave you. I gave you a name.
I'm. I. I don't know. It's in. We could add Jinx. Let me make a note, because it's been through edits, except it hasn't been through the proofread yet.
Okay. I have we have 4 cats. So I always
Oh,
we got 4 cats. They all have very unique names. So we have Lunar and Solar. Those were my 2, and then when my girlfriend moved in, she brought her 2 cats, Blair and Hermes.
aw,
So we got kittens galore right now.
aw,
And I love them. And sometimes they'll sit outside the booth door and just like meow, try to paw underneath, get in here, and then they
aw.
get in here and they cause hell.
Yeah.
So, and Paul helped me install shelves in here. And the first thing Hermes did when he was allowed in here was jump up right on the shelf. And I said, nope. All right. We got to veto that real quick.
Right, right, right. I
So,
don't know though, but everyone loves a good. Cats are like
cats are fantastic.
cats are
I don't
fantastic.
know.
So having a
Don't
cat
hurt me.
jump into the screen would be onto the into the
There
camera
he is.
angle. Well, Richie, I am, so as I'm learning guitar when I'm not
Uh,
writing books about dungeon accountants, I am also writing books about the pets of my friends.
all right.
So I've written a book for Macaroni. May he rest in peace. He was James and Jeanette's dog. He was a pug. Um, oh, which cat is that?
This
See,
is Hermes.
that's It's a
This is right. Hey, Bubba.
ah
He wants on the shelf. Hey, hi, buddy.
ah
This is my boy. He's the baby of the entire family.
ah.
So he's the youngest, and it goes in age. It goes Lunar Blair, Solar Hermes. All right, you gotta go, bud. You gotta go.
No, we love the kitties. So,
We do.
but yeah. So, no, when writing with Nathan, it was super amounts of fun. So we outlined the whole thing. Itty bitty kitty and kitty boy. Very specific. That is very specific. That's very, yeah.
So
Yes. R.I.P. to,
it's never easy
pour
losing
one
a
out
pet.
for Macaroni. Macaroni was a great dog.
Well,
I spent
drink
some
to
time
them.
with James and Jeanette. Here's to you, Macaroni. So I wrote Macaroni a song.
That is
So,
awesome.
um, and I wrote I have another co-author. I really like co-authoring. I really,
Hmm.
because I've written a lot of books by myself, and I like that a lot, right?
Right.
Because then I can control it all, and like people are like, "What about this?" And I'm like, "No." Um, but I love co-authoring. I really like the process. I like, especially working with people like Nathan and James and my buddy Dave Butler. Um, there's kind of this energy that happens, the creative spirit.
Yeah.
Um, and I love it because I love working with Dave Butler. We've written the Cunning Man books, which are, it's not a lit RPG, but it's They're books about a Mormon sorcerer investigating paranormal crimes in Dust Bowl, Utah.
Okay.
So Dave is very, very Mormon, and I'm a fan. Um, and so, but those are so because Dave would say yeah, I think that's right. Because I would give him an idea, and he would say, yeah, I think that's right, and then we would like back and forth. Um, so yeah, I really like writing books
Eh,
with people.
And I mean, both of the projects I have now read that of yours have been co-authored, and they're good. They're good so far. So I like Shadowcroft, and I'm enjoying Audit Team 6. I want to say SEAL Team 6, but I'm like, no, we're not hunting terrorists over here.
Well, there's a fine line between hunting terrorists and accounting, Richie. There's a
Okay.
fine line. No, and that's why we called it Audit Team 6, right? It's the joke.
Yeah. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I was like, Audit Team 6. Oh, I wonder. So I'm very, very excited to dive into this a little bit more. I'm actually moving some of my TBR pile around.
Hey, that's what we like to hear.
So if I apologize to people who are in my TBR, I will get to your book eventually. I promise.
So many books, so little time.
So many books, and with doing the show, I have to prioritize.
Yeah.
So when you reached out to me, because we weren't going to do a show this month, we were going to take the month off. We were possibly going to have Alaron Kong on to talk about Alpha, but there was some scheduling stuff we needed to fix, so that episode will be coming at a later date. And Joel's getting married next month, so we were taking the month off to kind of relax,
Oh,
decompress,
congratulations, Joel.
get ready for the wedding, because that's next month. Oh, crap, it's less than a month away. I have got to prepare my speech.
The arrow of time goes in one direction, Richie.
It's never ending. It never stops. Never can have a break, but that's okay because I can keep going. I just keep going. That's what I do. So when you'd reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we're releasing this book on the 9th. This is what it's about." I was ready for it. I was looking for it, ready to download it. So as soon as it became available, I downloaded it. And I was reading some of it at work yesterday because I'm on light duty. So when I finished my stuff, went into the office, sat down for the rest of my time because that's what my boss told me to do. And I was reading. I was having a good time reading it too. I was chuckling, and of course the people were like, "Oh, you're not doing anything." No, I'm working, just not what you think is work.
Right.
So no, it's very good. I love the Shadowcroft books. I'm very excited to dive into book 3, and I'm excited to dive more into this. So whether I go and boot up Smite after we get done here and I play a few rounds of that, I'll be reading one of your books tonight. I'll just put it that way.
Yay! Well,
So
there's no cats in the first dungeon account books, but there is dogs. They're trying to save the world of Phytotopia. So
we love dogs here. We don't have a dog in the house at the moment.
I have a
If
dog.
we get a bigger place, we will be getting a dog. I want a corgi because I love corgis.
Corgis are super cute. We have a Havanese named Lolo, so he's a good dog.
So what else would you like to touch base on before we start wrapping up the show? Because we
no, the only so I've talked about like all my books, but there's one book that I'm very, very proud of. It didn't like so some of these books you write, I write, and I'm like, okay, this is like, I love this book. It's going to do so well.
Mhm.
And then it doesn't do so well. And I'm like, but I want to write like 3 sequels, but it's hard to write books that it's hard to write books. It's hard to write sequels for books that don't sell.
Right.
But if you like audiobooks, this book won an award for best fantasy book. It's called Sages of the Underpass. And it's Travis Baldree did the
I do love Travis.
narration, and it's really about my journey becoming a full-time author. So and it's and I use kind of metaphors for like in the writing world. If you go to a critique group, so in this world it's it's a cultivation, it's like modern day cultivation, and it's about a guy who wanted to become a professional martial artist, but he kind of like his dreams got sidetracked. He cracked his core. He didn't think he would ever be able to fight again. And it's him kind of like it's really kind of a Rocky story where he's like, okay, I'm really going to try to become a professional.
I was gonna say I just pulled it up on my phone and I was reading through and I got to the second to last paragraph. Rocky meets Dragon Ball Z in this underdog redemption story from Dragon Award finalist Aaron Michael Ritchey. Instant buy.
I
Just
love
bought it.
that book. That's like out of like I at some point I'm gonna take a break. Like this year, I've been finishing off some series where I'm like, I don't care if they don't make money, I have to finish them. So I'm
Yeah.
finishing off the Juniper Wars 6. Um, and someday I'm going to write Scholars of the Lost Highway, just to wrap up because the Sage of the Underpass is a complete story. Because
Hmm.
I don't like having I like to have complete stories.
Right.
But there's a couple story threads, and it's kind of the things I've learned about being a full-time author since I've wrote that book. So someday I'll write Scholars of the Lost Highway.
All right.
But yeah, so if you like audiobooks, and Travis, like I was on a call with Travis and he was like, Aaron, you got to write a sequel. And I'm like, Travis, man, that book didn't sell.
But hey, if Travis is telling you to write it, you got your narrator right there.
Yeah. Oh, he would jump at a chance to do it. Travis is a great guy, and like
I
I loved his book,
Travis.
right?
I love Travis. We've had him on the show before, and then of course getting to meet him in person at Dragon Con last
Yeah.
year was an absolute delight. No, he's just a gem, and he's very wholesome. And I actually got to do a panel with him at Gildify Con last year.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. What
It was on
panel?
the Getting Cozy. It was about cozy
Oh,
fantasy
yeah.
and everything, and that was a blast.
On
So
Royal Road, I wrote The Dark Lord's Diner. So I read his book, and I was like, man, I want to do a cozy fantasy. So
going to Royal Road right now.
I'm sorry, I write. See,
I'm
I write too
all for
much,
it.
Richie. I
I'm
write
all
too
for.
much.
I read too much.
It's a match made in heaven. I'm not gonna send you pictures of my feet though.
Thank God. No,
No.
I am very excited about a lot of the stuff. I mean, I have so much. I'm reading on Royal Road right now, and my TBR just gets even more massive. I just got a few new books in the mail, and I'm like, oh, I got to read these, but I don't know what to do. So,
No, and then you get involved. So, like, I'm the same way, right? Because I have to
mhm.
always be reading my genre, and then there's books I want to get to, um, and then so James is like, "Hey, man, you should read House of Leaves," which is this like thick, huge horror, but it's like not. It's like weird. It is a very strange book because it's
I'm
like
all for it.
footnoted and yeah. But anyway, so
I'm all for it.
no, Richie, I'm good. I've talked about every single one of my books. Nah, that's not true.
That's fine, and we can keep going. I'm good. I'm good. I'm off tomorrow. I just have physical therapy at 9 a.m., so I'm good.
No, I think. Well, I could. No,
I think that's it.
I don't know what else we would talk about.
Well, we
Now
can
we
start
just
wrap.
get weird.
See, I got this.
Just get weird. Let's just get.
There we go. After dark.
Chatting stats after dark. Quiet storm with Richie Stevens.
So we towards the end of our shows, Joel and I always do the segment called where we just say, "Hey, what you been reading?" We go through our Audible list and our Kindle list, and when we took time off last time, um, our list was massive on what we've read because Joel and I we power through books like crazy, and that way we can throw, "Hey, you got to read this. Hey, you got to read this." We just go through them. So what have you read recently that you want to give a shout out to? Like what's been a good book that's been
Man,
on your mind?
now I know this is
It can be any genre. It's
it's
fine.
lit RPG, and I know it's a family show,
Okay.
but Bruce Centaur's Saving Supervillains,
Great series.
like like the idea of taking a cultivation novel and then like putting a superhero, like it's amazing. It's just amazing. And I read it and I'm like, I fucking
No, it's fine. It's fine. We are actually a 18 plus show.
I fucking hate that guy because he's fucking brilliant. That's what I was like. I was like, hate reading it. I'm like, oh, Bruce
I
Centaur,
was
you're
gonna
too
say
good.
we've done episodes with Edie Sky, who writes the Titan Mage and
Oh
Blood
yeah, yeah,
Knight
yeah.
series. So we've talked harem.
Okay.
We've had smut episodes. It's okay. We are not just a family show. Like, we like to have a little bit of everything for everyone, but there is a disclaimer on Twitch at least that says, "Hey, this is intended for mature audiences," because I used to do streaming constantly, and when
Oh,
I'd
okay.
game, I have the mouth of a fucking sailor.
Okay. All right. I just never
I've
know,
been
and I'm
trying to
like,
tone it back a little bit to be a little bit more professional,
well, you know,
but I
guys.
slip every once in a while. It's fucking hard.
In
It
my
is it's
in
so
my
hard.
family, with I'm around my daughters.
Mhm.
I have like older daughters.
Yeah.
But like I don't want to, I don't, and I hearing my daughters swear, I'm just like, I don't know. So we always, it's like PG-13. We get one a day. So you're like,
Oh,
because sometimes no other word will do.
my dad was here a couple weeks ago because we lost a family member, and they flew out from Colorado to be
Sorry
here
to
for
hear
the
that.
funeral. Oh, I thank you. I appreciate that. We had to do some yard work because I haven't been able to really do a lot with my back being messed up. So we spent all day doing yard work and getting the grass and everything taken care of, and it was hot. I don't think we had a sensor bar that entire day because we were both. It was hot. It was humid. I think it was like 100 degrees here, and
And
humidity
where are
was
you at?
Indiana now.
Oh,
Back in
okay,
my home.
yeah.
I'm back home. Like, this, Indiana's home. Colorado, I was out there for 5 years. Loved it. I actually moved home 2 years ago. I've been home 2 years ago. Yesterday.
Oh, okay. I spent a lot of time in Fort Wayne.
I am where I'm at. I'm about maybe 3 hours south.
Oh, okay. Near Indianapolis?
South of Indianapolis.
It's
I'm about a
Indianapolis.
40-minute
Okay.
drive.
Oh, okay. No, so yeah, no, so I tried, so okay, so cursing. So that Bruce Centaur, man.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like,
Bruce is
okay,
also a very nice guy. I got to meet him at Dragon Con last year.
he's a great
Absolutely love him.
guy.
Love him.
Super good guy. So then I started his Ard's Oath, and I'm like, well, maybe he just got lucky with saving supervillains. And I
I
started
haven't
Ard's Oath, and I'm
I
like,
haven't done
oh
that
my
one, but
god.
I've done his Dragon Warrior series. Is it Dragon Warrior?
Dragon's Justice?
Dragon's Justice, yes.
Yeah,
That one is that one's fucking brilliant. It's really good.
that
It is
guy.
damn good.
No, and I've also started. I read a billion book. I'm reading a book called Mindset, and it's more of like a self help kind of
Mhm.
like. It's written by a Stanford professor and talks about how like people have like different mindsets. It's
Yeah.
super good. I'm also reading. I just started Sibelius, another harem novel, Sex, Death, and Money. Um,
All right.
I'm friends with Seb. He's another guy who's just like, hate him a little bit because
I
he's
don't
so
know if
good.
I've read any of their stuff.
Um, Sibelius's Mask of the Template was like the first Monster Girl harem I read, and I was just like, I was like, I don't know if this is good or not. And then there's this sex scene with the Medusa that is done so tastefully.
Okay.
I just said that. And I'm like, wow, that's impressive. Um, no, and then I'm reading House of Leaves, which James A. Hunter said you should read this, and I hate him because it's this weirdest book. Because he got into like backroom stuff, and like House of
Yeah.
Leaves is like a backrooms type of book.
Shout out to Discount Dan.
Discount Dan's backrooms bargains.
So good.
So good. And then I'm also, is that it? I think that's it. So is that 4 books?
Okay.
I'm kind of currently.
My list is it's pretty lengthy.
No, of what I'm currently listed. Do you like? I'm like.
I do. So what I do is what am I
One.
currently on, and then what I've read since our last episode.
Oh, okay.
Because I go through a lot of books. I go through a lot of books. So audio wise for me, I listened to Umbral Savage by JD Glasscock. He was nice enough to send me a code, and because I was getting ready to add it to my library, I saw his post, so he sent me a message. It's good. It's a post apocalyptic lit RPG. It's dark, and it's fucking beautiful. Second Chance Swordsman by Jacob Tanner. I listened to Mayhem, which is the newest book from Aaron Oster.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
picked that up, and that's what I had just finished before I started Shadowcroft Book 2. and it is bonkers. It is balls to the walls, bonkers.
The cover, like
Uh-huh.
the cover, like
Yeah.
I looked at the cover, I'm like, oh my god, that is
Well,
like,
and it's narrated by Steve Campbell, and I love Steve. And the chipmunk has a deep voice. The chipmunk that's on the main character's shoulder, it's actually his best friend. And he has the voice of Principal Lewis from American Dad,
oh my
and
god,
they
that
make a
is
joke about it.
hilarious.
So I was like, "Oh, shout out to Principal Lewis." Then Four Horsemen from Michael Chatfield. I also listened to Library System Reset from KT Hana.
Yeah, that looks great.
Oh, it's so good. It is.
That
It is
looks
so good.
really
It's probably
good.
my favorite book that she's done. Physical books, I and Kindle. Obviously, I'm reading Dungeon Audit right now. I just finished Monster Girl Tamer from Edie Sky. It's her newest one. She sent me a copy, and I've been waiting for the audio for her books alone, just because it's usually done by Daryl Mayfield and Jessica Trepanner from Royal Guard Publishing, and they're so good. They have such good chemistry together, and if I see their name attached to a project, I'm gonna pick it up. They're
Oh,
damn good.
okay.
And
Okay.
I've actually gotten to have a few conversations with Daryl to pick his brain about narrating stuff, and he's a wonderful guy. So anything that he puts out and whatever Jess puts out, I'm gonna pick up. So I've been waiting for the audiobook of that, which is coming out in a few months, I think. They just submitted it for pre-order, I think, and it's getting ready to go up. So I'm excited about that. What else did I do? I'm currently rereading the Super Mage series or the Rise to Omniscience from Aaron Oster because I've been craving that like long series.
Oh, sure, sure,
And
sure.
book 11 just came out, and I was like, oh, I don't remember what happened in all of these books. So I'm speed reading them right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What else? That might be it. I finished Scarlet Citadel from Jack Fields. I think that's it.
Oh
Oh,
my
Lars McMuller's Theft of Decks, which comes out on Friday.
god. So I was proud of my 4 books I'm reading, and then like, don't okay, Ritchey, I would be reading more, but this House of Leaves book, it's driving me slowly mad. It's very like eldritch horror, like I'll never be the same, right?
I was playing Cthulhu and Smite earlier, so
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's House of Leaves is driving me insane. So,
love it. I love it.
well, this has been so much fun.
It has, and like I said, it's one of my favorite things to do. It does get a little overwhelming with trying to catch up on books and stuff, and then when we have to move stuff around for authors, I'm not complaining because I love doing this. It's one of my favorite things, and I get to interact with people who have put out books that I've absolutely enjoyed and have given me an escape from anxiety and depression and stuff like that. So I love doing this, and I try to make it as fun as possible. Yeah, we get a little off the rails sometimes with our conversations, but we have fun, and that's the point. We want to make
That's
sure that the genre is a positive, uplifting place.
Yeah, and
That's
these
what
are
we're here
fun,
for.
right? Yeah. I mean, video game like gaming elements in books, like man, when I read VGO was my
So
first
good.
lit RPG book, and I'm like, well, this makes total sense to me.
I was a little late to VGO.
What was your first lit RPG book?
The Land was my first one because that's what Joel recommended to me.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when I got in, I was on a Nick Podell kick for a long time.
Oh,
So
okay.
I went through The Land, and by the time I started The Land, book eight's audio was the Kindle and physical was getting ready to come out. So I started, I want to say October, November of 2019. So right before COVID.
Oh, okay.
And so when I got caught up on that, I went through other Nick Podell books. I did what is it, Mark of Kings from Bryce O'Connor and Luke Chimilenko, which it's not lit RPG, it's progression fantasy. It's really good. And then his Arcane Ascension and that whole universe. I did a deep dive on that. Then I went to Dakota Crowd because Joel was like, you gotta try the Completionist Chronicles and the Divine Dungeon. I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then he said, okay, now you got to do this series and then this series. And then I just branched off and went on my own. So I finally got to VGO, I want to say probably by maybe April, May of 2020.
Okay.
And I was going through a catalog. I was listening to like a book a night at that point, like maybe 2 days, 2 days max, depending on how long it was. But my first series from James was actually the Rogue Dungeon series
Because of Nick Podell. Right, right,
because of Nick
right.
Podell. And I loved it. So when I went to VGO, I was like, oh, this is a completely different tone.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not complaining because it was good. And
It's
Armin
really
Taylor
good.
killed it. And then I finally finished it. And I love it. I need to go do a lot of more of the side novels. I've read all of the Heartfire Healer, and then I think I've done the Firebrand. I'm caught up on Firebrand. So I have the Illusionist and the Alchemist. Are those the other ones?
Well, I think the um I think the Illusionist is the DJ Bodden,
Yes.
and those actually Nomad Soul, the Illusionist, those are
Mhm.
actually, I think, a lot of the people who really, really like the spin-off novels.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people really like that because that kind of the DJ Bodden stuff kind of goes more into the like actual game of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah,
I'll be doing a deep dive once I get a little bit more time, and with Dragon Con coming up. Of course, I gotta be on top of everything. So when I'm doing like little segments for TikTok or whatever while we're at the con, because I'm gonna try to do more like content creating while we're at Dragon Con this year. I already
yeah,
told my
yeah.
my partner, I was like, hey, I know we're gonna have a fun time. I know you really don't care about the lit RPG side of things. This is part of my life. I'm gonna be busy. I know it's a vacation for us. I'm gonna be working, but we're still gonna
Yeah.
have a good time. I just still make time for us to go out and do things. But I'm probably going to be working, and I'm probably going to be dragging you and me introducing you to a lot of people. Geneva said she'll kidnap her for a day and just find new ways to torture me. So
No, that's awesome. No, Dragon Con's a thing. Dragon
it
Con's
is.
fun.
So hey, when you see us at Dragon, or if you see me at Dragon Con this year, Joel won't be there. He's getting married in August.
How exciting!
They're doing their honeymoon. He's like, I don't have any more time off. I was like, all right, well, if you can at least come down for like a night or so, you can just stay at the hotel. So he's debating that. He is debating coming down for like the last night and just doing like a day pass.
Oh,
So
good.
he might be there, but I know a lot of people will be there. I'm excited to see everyone. I owe a lot of people hugs, apparently. So,
Oh, it's always man. Dragon Con's a thing. It's super fun.
but this has uh this has been a fun episode, Aaron. Thank you so much for reaching
Oh,
out
thank
and
you. This has
wanting to
been
do an
super
episode
fun.
because this was fun. I always lose track of like, oh crap, who have I been in contact with? Who have I not? I always lose track. I do.
Well, there's a lot of people, right? I mean,
There
this is
are
a
a lot
lot
of
of
people, and
folks,
I have a lot of books,
and you have a lot of
and
books.
I'm
Well,
like, and my
when me
not
and
started. I think I have like 110.
and I just gave you a bunch Sages of the Underpass. No, 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 no. Shadowcroft Academy for Dungeons Year 3.
Mhm.
I stand by that one.
Oh,
Um, and
I already have both. I
and
had
when
2 credits available, so I went ahead and got them both.
and when book 4 comes out, me and James are going to do book 4. We'll come back on and we'll do it together. So,
I'm all for it. And I told Nathan when the audiobook for Dungeon Accounting is getting ready to launch and everything, we'd do another episode so that way he could be here for that one.
yeah. And I won't say a word. I'll just be there and I'll just be
No,
like,
we'll do a deep dive.
"Yes."
The point of tonight's episode was mainly to be like a silver tongue. It's what we call our promotion episodes. So it's where, hey, let's get a little bit of information about the book. What would be the good hooks for people, the characters, the world, and I think we covered that while also getting to know a little bit about you and just having a fun conversation.
And I will go back and listen to why I talked about Kara the Mage Killer and my friend's acrobat mage killer. I'm like, where was I even going with that? So good. And I'll message you and I'll say, oh, by the way, Ritchey, this is where I was going.
Hey,
So
so I will be up for a while. So when I hear when I see your thing come up, I'll be like, oh, okay. If I don't reply, probably just passed out in my chair.
No, I have to
So
go watch RuPaul's Drag Race with my daughters. So
that sounds like a good time. I know
sashay away.
my girlfriend's playing Overwatch in the living room. I'll be booting up my PlayStation probably when we get done, and I'm gonna boot up either Smite or Valor. I haven't decided which one's gonna make me rage tonight, but that's probably gonna be it. I got to get a little aggression out somehow. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I know it's a little bit later than our normal episodes, and to our UK crowd that's going to be watching it tomorrow morning or in a few hours, because I know our ungodly American hours over here.
Ungodly
I
Americans.
apologize. I think that's what Lars said earlier. He was like, "Ah, that's what." Yeah, you your ungodly hours over there. But thank you so much for coming on the show, Aaron, and reaching out. Nathan, we wish you could have been here. If you're listening to this, we love you. You are awesome. You guys are doing a great job with this series so far. I'm excited to dive back in, and I'm going to try to knock out at least 3 or 4 more chapters before I pass out tonight, at least.
Yay!
But I don't have any episodes lined up yet. We do have an episode in August. I don't know if we're going to have, but that's at the end of August. I don't know if we're going to have one at the beginning of August, because we got the wedding. Joel's going to be on vacation. I might be just a me episode, or I might bring in another co-host. Haven't decided yet, but when I do, I will make the announcement and we will get it going. I won't wait till the last minute like I sometimes do, because I forget promos are a thing. I'm bad at social media. I'm just bad at it. I'll hype up a book, but I'm bad at social media. So, everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful night, and please take care of yourself. Just do what you can, right? If you need that little escape, it's okay. It is okay to escape for a little while. That's what I do with my books, except I escape constantly. So yeah, that's it. But for everything that's been Lit RPG, Dungeon Core, and Gamelit, this has been Chat and Stats. Hope you have a wonderful evening.